Oh, welcome, my friends, to another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm, of course, your host, David. I'm playing helping right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins, and welcome into the show. On today's episode of the Prime, we're going to be breaking down the Minnesota Vikings season. So you don't want to miss any of this content. So please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Uh, Happy Tuesday, TJ. My voice is a little bit on the mend today. So I may need you to carry me as you do in most of the podcasts that we run together.
Oh, stop it. That's not true. Truth be told, we don't do what we do without you. So like let's get that shit out the way. Um, yeah,
Well,
Minnesota.
yeah, Minnesota, baby. Let's get right into it. Let's not waste any time. Let's talk about the biggest storyline, the change at quarterback. Kirk Cousins out the door, go to Atlanta in free agency. Spent 6 seasons, productive seasons, while a member of the Minnesota Vikings. Was never really able to get over that hump. But I mean, he was productive for this football team. In comes Sam Darnold. In comes JJ McCarthy. Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall are still both on this roster. Let's talk about the change at quarterback. It's a big talk. It's a big storyline here.
It's the storyline here. It's almost you have to justify the change, and because we're not going to sit here and act like Kirk Cousins was a bum wearing a Minnesota Vikings uniform. No, Kirk Cousins had a lot of success with the Minnesota Vikings. It sucks that it didn't translate into the success that people care about, right? Like they didn't like. I don't think they had like one or two playoff wins.
I don't think they ever. I don't think they got even one playoff win with
They
Kirk
don't.
Cousins.
You don't think they got one?
I think their last playoff win was the Miracle in New Orleans. Because I don't. I mean, you know what? I lied.
Yeah.
I think they may have won a playoff game here and there. It was like a divisional round game, and they may or a wild card round. But they never got out of the divisional. They never made it to the conference finals.
Yeah, they never got over the quote unquote, like you said, the proverbial hump. And moving off of Kirk Cousins, I almost want to say like it like the injury made it easier to make that decision.
I don't think this was their decision. So we could talk about all we want until we're blue in the face. I don't think the decision of moving off Kirk Cousins was the decision of the Minnesota Vikings.
You don't think so?
I think in a quote unquote perfect world, Kirk Cousins would still be a member of the Minnesota Vikings, and they would still have taken probably JJ McCarthy, maybe. But
it takes two. It takes two. I mean, not really, but it does.
Because I think this is a Minnesota team that still wants to be competitive and still wants to win. And when you bring in Sam Darnold, who has not done a lot of winning in his NFL career, and JJ McCarthy won a lot in college, but we're not sure what that's going to translate. He wasn't asked to do a lot in Michigan for the Wolverines. He's going to probably have to do a whole lot as a part of the Minnesota Vikings. And they don't have a running game where they can hand it off 30 times a game and get 6 yards a clip. Like I'm just
they don't have that type of offensive line at Minnesota.
Yeah.
This is he's the only quarterback who I feel like if they legit sack him, it's justified. One, because it's completely different. Like JJ McCarthy's learning a completely new system. Like Michigan was pro style. Hey, I'm under the center. I'm handing the ball off. I'm doing Kevin O'Connell. Hey, we finna throw this ball 30 times a game.
yeah.
Like they literally say I'm the tall version of Sean McVay, and I'm asking JJ McCarthy to do something that he, like you said, didn't have to do in college. Like, does that mean he can't do it? Not necessarily, but it's also like that's something he's going to have to learn.
We've seen all. I've seen enough of Sam Darnold. Like I do realize he should probably start the season and like be given the ability to do whatever this season. But like I've seen Sam Darnold play quarterback in the NFL. It's not what you want. Like it's just he hasn't thrown more. His only like he just has struggled. Like And I'm not really sure what there's a lot of this narrative that people saw some stuff out of him. They were like, oh, yeah, this guy's gonna be a quality starting quarterback in Minnesota. I'm like, based on what? What have you seen? Like, yes, he's gonna
Well,
go back into probably the best offensive situation that he's ever been in. Like he didn't have a Justin Jefferson in New York when he was there. He didn't have a Justin Jefferson in Carolina when he was there. And this is still an upgraded offensive line over what he had in New York and in Carolina. But like, no.
all right. So check it out. So check it out. So you got to keep. He was the backup in San Fran. What was it, last year?
Yes.
2 years. Yeah. All right. So there was rumblings coming out of camp before stuff started that Trey Lance wasn't grasping it. Brock Purdy was still kind of struggling, and Sam Darnold, they were like, "Hey, if we got to roll with Sam Darnold, we can roll with Sam Darnold." So like when you and these circles, they talk amongst themselves, like coaching circles talk amongst themselves, and if you're hearing that Sam Darnold is picking up what Kyle Shanahan is putting down, that's almost like that's like a green light. It's like, hey, if he can pick that up, if he can pick up those concepts, I can work with that.
Yeah,
Now,
I get that. I
that, no,
don't know.
I'm just saying that's probably like the rationale behind what went with the decision to get Sam Darnold. And Kevin O'Connell's like you said, you just said, like, hey, the Jets ain't giving really nothing to work with. Carolina's Carolina, and yeah, like let me get my hands on. And the bigger thing is this: hey, at the very minimum, it's 8 games. It's 8 games with Sam Darnold, barring no injuries. It's 8 games. Long term, it's a year because you don't draft JJ McCarthy unless the plan is to sit him for more than 1 year, which we only see that happen in Green Bay for some odd reason.
Well,
No, seriously, like most teams that they use a first round pick on the quarterback, he's usually playing, if not later in the year or at least next year, right? So the change at quarterback, you got to also keep in mind you're replacing a walk-in 4,000 yards in Kirk Cousins. You're replacing 25 to 35 touchdowns through the air. You're replacing, you have to replace that calm, cool, to me, having watched him, I don't think Kirk Cousins was quote unquote rattled a lot. Like, you get what I'm saying? Kirk Cousins can go win you a game. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm.
He had a season where Minnesota was abysmal, and he had 33 touchdowns and 7 picks that season. Like, if Minnesota had been remotely competitive that year, he would have won the MVP.
He would have won it. And obviously, I think.
And if he doesn't get hurt last year, he's winning the MVP. Nobody was running away with it, but Kirk Cousins' numbers were crazy. He led the league in touchdown passes for 3 weeks after he was out already.
He was injured. And I think the game that cemented him in Vikings lore was the outside of the Saints wildcard game. You were down 31-0 to the Indianapolis Colts, and you just said, "Put the team on my back and win this game."
He did the Greg Jennings,
literally broke leg and all.
Yeah.
So if you're the Vikings, if you're Vikings fans, you also got to keep in mind hey, if you're bad, and bad is a relative word here, because I think with all things considered, I still think the Vikings can go.
I agree with you. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but
yeah.
Let's swing into the next story. Let's talk about the Justin Jefferson extension. Obviously, now he's the highest paid wide receiver in the National Football League. Let's talk about so Justin Jefferson got paid. Jordan Addison is dealing with some legal trouble, but he's clearly wide receiver too. Let's talk about everybody else on this team. I mean, they got Jalen Naylor, who's their number 3. TJ Hawkinson's coming off that ACL tear. It's not clear when he's even going to see the field. And then this offensive line, yes, you did extend Christian Darrisaw. You made him the highest paid left tackle in the NFL, I do believe. Brian O'Neill is a good football player, but your guards and your center are just kind of okay. Justin Jefferson been paid. What now? What about the rest of the roster on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, the new renaissance of receivers. Like he's the highest paid right now. That man in Cincinnati is gonna have something to say about who's the highest paid. That man down in Dallas is really gonna have something to say about who's the highest
140 million. 4 years, $140 million. I can't do the math on that right now. It's $110 million guarantee. Yeah, highest paid wide receiver in the NFL
today. Justin Jefferson, it's almost unfairly was like Stephon Diggs out, Jettis in, and it's like you're replacing 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns, and anywhere from 80 to 100 catches, and you have to be like an almost immediate impact. And it took him 3 games to find his footing in the NFL. Like he had a bad first game and a so-so second game, and in the third game, it's like, hey, Justin Jefferson, welcome to the NFL, because he started grittying on people 20 yards out because he was that wide open when he caught that touchdown. And it was like,
he's arguably had the greatest start of a wide receiver's career in the history of the league. I mean, he's put up numbers that we just don't normally see out of a and he's kind of unfairly set this bar for rookie wide receivers coming into the NFL, where it's like, well, you're gonna have to be just for Justin Jefferson, and like go right away. Like if anything less, we're gonna have some conversation here. Like
so the rest of the roster is, you're looking at it, it's you have to like you ain't gotta match him, but you damn sure can't leave him out there by himself. Like so, like if you're Jordan Addison, you have to understand, like, damn, bro, I can't keep getting in trouble. I can't leave Jettis out here by himself because he's already seeing 2. That I'm messing up my bag because this man is finna be getting doubled and triple teamed, and who the hell is the quarterback, whoever it is, whether it's Darnold, whether it's McCarthy, if Jettis is getting double teamed and I got one-on-one, I can't, but I'm still I'm constantly getting in trouble. I'm not on the field. Damn, what am I doing? Like how does that help? I'm hurting myself by hurting him and hurting the team. TJ Hawkinson, solid tight end, just gotta stay healthy. Everything else is fine. Not to mention, you lose Dalvin Cook, but you get Aaron Jones. So that's like, hey, when it comes to dual threat running backs, you can't ask for much better than Aaron Jones. I think that's true. So like the rest of the roster is like, that's what they got to do. Like you can't leave. Like you got to step up. You can't have Justin Jefferson. You can't just be Justin Jefferson's and the others. You got to step up. Like every week, you have to prove that you're a viable number 2, Jordan Addison. You have to prove that you're tight end. Well, you don't really have to prove if you're tight end number 1, TJ Hawkinson. I think you're tight end. You're tight end number 1 on a lot of teams.
Yeah, 100%.
You're fine.
I'm pretty sure the highest paid tight end in the NFL. But yeah, he didn't tear his ACL until week 16. He didn't have surgery on that ACL until January.
That's late.
I mean, I think he's probably going to start the season on the PUP list and not be really available until week 5 or 6. But maybe. I mean, I'm just kind of speculating here because I don't really know.
That's on a good timetable. That's on if nothing goes wrong. That's if he heals properly.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really heard a lot about TJ Hawkinson, like what his scenario is going on. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if he misses the first month and a half of the season easy.
Me either. Would not be surprised at all.
And I mean, none of those other wide receivers that I talked about, I mean, Jalen Naylor, Jordan Paul, Trent Sherfield Jr. coming over from the Bills. None of those other guys really instill a lot of fear into you. They did bring in Big Bob Tunyon, but he hasn't been good at all since he left Green Bay. And even like basically since he got hurt, really. They brought in Josh Oliver, who doesn't instill any kind of really confidence into you in the tight end position. I do think that there's going to be a lot of growing pains because, they had KJ Osborne here last year. KJ Osborne was a good football player that was just underutilized in Minnesota.
Yep. And that falls to coaching because it's if you're not getting the best out of your players or if you're underutilizing certain players, that's on you. That's on you. That's 100%.
To the other side of the ball, let's talk about this defense here for a minute. The staples that used to be linchpins of this Minnesota Vikings defense, Danielle Hunter, all of those linebackers are gone. I had their names memorized earlier, but I cannot remember any of them right now. Kendricks is no longer on this team. What is the other name? What is the name of the other linebacker? That was always on this. Anthony Barr is gone. Like the only person that still remains from that original like Minnesota Vikings defense that they were building throughout the years is Harrison Smith. Everybody else is different.
Gone.
And this was a kind of a soft defense as it is anyways. They got bullied in the running game, especially in that game against the Giants in the playoff game a few years ago. But what are we expecting out of this kind of revamped, relooked defense as they try to move on from like what was a pretty successful era of Minnesota Vikings football?
Same thing. It's going to be growing pains. It's going to be ugly. It's going to hurt. It's going to be it's probably going to be the typical. We score points, but we struggle to stop people from scoring. That type of thing. If that makes sense. It's like Harrison Smith is, yeah, you're the voice in the locker room now. I'm trying to think because they tried to go. They had a young corner too that was kind of getting.
Byron Murphy Jr. maybe.
Yeah.
No. The Andrew Booth Jr. Sorry, the kid out of Clemson.
Yeah. It was he had a rough start to his NFL career, and rightly so, bro. Like you're seeing the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions twice a year. Like that's tough. Those are tough covers for anybody to ask. Like those are tough covers for established corners. Like let alone a
rookie. Yeah, he's fallen way down in the depth chart. Like he had a pretty poor rookie season. He's gotten buried. He basically has gotten buried in their depth chart a little bit here. But yeah, they also, thoughts and prayers out to the family of Kyrie Jackson. He passed away about a month ago. So hopefully, that his family and friends are doing okay with that loss. He was probably going to be in the mix to at least make this roster and be a contributing piece to this football team. So sad to see a kid pass away at the only age of 24 years old in a car accident.
After achieving
the
lifelong dream, man. Like you put all that work in, and then to have it unfairly or unceremoniously snatched away in the way that it was.
But I do think I agree with you though. I think this defense is probably going to struggle. Like I think Harrison Smith, yes, he's a good safety, but he's only one guy. And Jonathan Grenard, who they brought in from the Houston Texans, is really only had one season where he was any good. So like I don't know. Like they brought in Andrew Van Ginkel to be as well as another edge rusher off the side here. They brought in Dallas Turner in the draft, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But I mean, this is probably going to be a team that gives up a lot of points.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought in Shaq Griffin too, like Shaquille Griffin. He hasn't been remotely good really since he left Seattle. So, I mean, we'll see what this defense looks like. This is probably going to be a team that gives up a lot of points every week.
Yeah, like with them, I think it's going to be like the first one to 28.
Swinging from there, let's talk about their draft. Obviously, it's headlined by J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner and Kyrie Jackson, who we literally just talked about, the fourth-round pick. They took Walter Roos, the tackle out of Oklahoma. They took a kicker out of Alabama. They took a center out of Wake Forest, and then they took a defensive lineman out of Texas A&M Commerce. But I think all the people really want to talk about is the first two picks here. J.J. McCarthy kind of fell to them at 10, so they didn't have to give up all the draft capital people were talking about that they thought maybe they were going to have to give up to try to get J.J. McCarthy. I think they only had to move up one spot with Chicago. No, I don't remember exactly what happened, but they moved up one spot, I think, with Philadelphia or something of that nature. I don't remember now. But yeah, they get J.J. McCarthy. I mean, he has all the prototypical arm strength and size. It's what you're looking for, really, in a franchise type quarterback.
20, not even 20. 20 years ago, J.J. McCarthy would have been still a first round pick, but he still would have been like, I think he would have been like higher because of the style of quarterback that he is, like that pro style, under center, hand the ball off, don't turn the ball over type of quarterback. Like there were the game that sticks out is the game in Penn State where they didn't throw the ball the entire second half against Penn State. They did not. They didn't. They for 30 minutes in hostile Happy Valley. They did not throw the ball. It was they could have given Penn State their entire playbook, and the playbook would have read: we're handing off to Blake Corum, we're handing off to Donovan Edwards. You can't stop it. But he
played, prototypical offense, like if he played in a pro style offense, like JJ McCarthy would have been, he might have been the first overall pick in this draft.
It hadn't been the first overall pick 20 years ago.
And then Dallas Turner, they trade up to get him, and he falls in the draft. I mean, he's got the prototypical size that you're looking for at a defensive end. They needed somebody to try to replace the production that you got out of Danielle Hunter. He's going to be a week one contributor. At least that's what their hope is, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it has to be. I mean,
you also got to keep in mind, like I think the issue that teams run into is like when you have an established vet like a Stephon Diggs, like a Danielle Hunter, and you're asking a rookie to replace that, it's like I don't really think y'all understand what y'all be asking these rookies to do. So like. Yeah. Danielle Hunter out, insert Dallas Turner. It's like, hey, man, you ain't got to do nothing. Hey, man, you ain't got to do nothing. Just give me 10 sacks. Like, what? Yeah, I need 10 sacks out of you. Only 10. And just so you know, the right tackles that you're going against, these are actual professionals, not none of the guys in college that maybe they're going pro, maybe they won't. No, like, you're going to see Darnell Wright twice a year, and this ain't rookie Darnell Wright. This is Darnell Wright with a year of NFL experience. You're not seeing like you're gonna see Penei Sewell twice a year. This ain't like Penei Sewell has already etched his name as arguably the best right tackle in football. They paid him like it already.
Yeah, I mean he is the highest paid right tackle in football.
They
took the. We're not going to talk about Kyrie Jackson again. But the offensive tackle at Oklahoma. That's just more depth you need at the offensive tackle position. They took a place kicker. My opinion is that place kicker is
he got a boot, man. He does.
He does. And then they took a center guard out of Wake Forest. More depth at a position where they needed depth. And then they took a defensive tackle. Who's probably going to be a project, maybe not even make the roster, Levi Drake Rodriguez. But the key pieces of this draft is taking the quarterback and getting Dallas Turner where they got him because he was a steal, in my opinion.
I have also never heard of that college, Texas A&M Commerce.
So it's the he played baseball at Southwest Assemblies of God University, an NIA school, and then he went to Texas A&M. I don't know.
Texas A&M Commerce. All right, hey, good on you for making it. You're probably the first player out of Texas A&M Commerce to get drafted. So yeah,
sure are probably.
Probably. I don't know much about the sport.
So I think they did a pretty solid job in the draft here. I don't really have a lot of analysis on any of these other picks besides the first two. If I had to give it a grade, I think they addressed some major needs. I'm going to go with B.
I C+.
To the roster shakeup, let's talk about it. Obviously, Jonathan Gennard, Shaquille Griffin, Andrew Van Ginkel, Sam Darnold, and Aaron Jones in, out. Kirk Cousins, Danielle Hunter, KJ Osborne, some other names I just didn't think were all that relevant. They lost Marcus Davenport. They lost Jordan Hicks. Alexander Mattison's no longer part of this football team. They brought in Jerry Tillery from the Las Vegas Raiders. They brought in Big Bob Tunyon from the Chicago Bears. Josh Dobbs left this team to go to the San Francisco 49ers. Greg Joseph is now a member of the Green Bay Packers, who I did like as a kicker, but he did miss some real real just head scratching kicks at sometimes. But yeah, so there you go. I mean, it's really just talking about losing two big pieces of what was your big part of your roster. I mean, Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter basically anchored.
Three. Kirk Cousins, Danielle Hunter, KJ Osborne, those were big pieces. Those are massive pieces. like those are pieces of a playoff team. To be fair, those are the last time the Vikings made the playoffs, those three guys played a massive role in it. That's the team. Well, pieces of the team. And you're so first off, Josh, bro, go be go work for NASA. Stop.
Hey man, if I'm Josh Dobbs, I'm gonna try to continue doing this football thing until I can't anymore.
Yeah, but I also like having my cognitive function. And
yeah, I mean, I don't no disagreement there, but yeah, I think it's going to be tough because you lose some important pieces on your roster. Jonathan Grenard, we don't know. I mean, he had one really good season in Houston, but I mean, how much did that he benefited from having Will Anderson on the other side? Because we didn't hear a peep about Jonathan Grenard for the first 3 years of his NFL career. And all of a sudden he's double-digit sacks one season and then gets paid. And so
at my age old adage, again.
He went from 1 sack to 8 sacks to a sack and a half to 12.
And so if history shows us, you said 1 sack to 8 to 1 to 12 and a half. And again, so forget Danielle Hunter, bruh. You have to replicate. Dallas Turner, can you replicate what Will Anderson just did as a rookie?
Yeah. I mean, Will Anderson had 8 sacks last season.
That's tough, man. That's tough. Like you said, Andrew Van Ginkel.
And I also think bringing in Aaron Jones is a slam dunk of a running back. I'm shocked the Green Bay Packers let him go.
Yeah, something there didn't. I mean, but prior to them trading for Josh Jacobs, and I still find that hilarious because Packer fans thought they was going to have the best running back duo
for 5 minutes.
and that shit lasted 5 minutes, bro. It was like, oh, how you gonna stop us? We got Jones, we got Jacobs. Yeah, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is gone. What? Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, y'all had the best running back duo for like you said, for 5 minutes. It was beautiful, wasn't it? Loved it.
It was pretty nice. It was nice.
So yeah, I'm a firm believer that something happened between him and the Green Bay Packers, and it's not being talked about. Nothing's come out. You can't sit here and tell me there was bad, there was no kind of bad blood. Something happened.
There must have been something because Aaron Jones was a productive Green Bay Packer, and Green Bay Packers usually don't let somebody go when they're still productive. So, I mean, I don't. Who knows? Who knows? We'll probably never know the truth for sure.
We probably won't. He probably ain't gonna speak on it. They probably ain't gonna speak on it. And hey, it is what it is. I think he ain't that no more. He's in Minnesota. He's gonna see him twice a year. They're gonna see him twice a year. It is what it is. Sam Darnold is basically playing for his NFL career right now.
Yeah.
But that's where he's at. Andrew Van Ginkel is, like I said, a nice rotational piece. I think his best years were in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, he had some decent seasons in New England as well before he went to Miami. He kind of follows around Brian Flores, who's the defensive coordinator, I think, in Minnesota right now.
He is.
So
No, he is.
yeah, I mean, he's been fairly productive everywhere he's gone. I mean, he had 6 sacks last season. I mean, actually, he's only played in Miami. I thought for some reason he was in New England for a hot minute. I think I'm thinking of somebody else, but yeah, he's been like a 6 sack guy for a majority of his career, like 3.5 sacks or whatever. I think his average is about 3.5 for his career for over five seasons. So
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like it is what it is. Again, it's gonna be rough. I think it's gonna be rough.
To the ceiling and the floor. And let's start with the positive side. Let's talk about the ceiling for the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think the ceiling is for this team as currently constructed? Let's assume
the ceiling for the Minnesota Vikings, all things considered, Sam Darnold somehow, some way gets this team to 8-9 wins. That's the ceiling.
I tend to agree with you on that. I actually have a friend here in Fort Wayne who's a big Vikings fan. He thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm like, you're crazy. But hey, if I predicted it, I'm right. I get to have that forever. I'm like, you do. I guess you do. But I mean, looking at their schedule, I just you can go to. I think they can go to New York and win that game because I don't think the Giants are going to be all that good. But after that, I mean, this schedule is for a third place team is not a cakewalk. I mean, the Giants. I mean. I think they could beat the Colts maybe in Minnesota. I think they can go to Tennessee and win that game. I think they can split with Chicago. I think they could beat Arizona. Man, I might be talking myself out of this. So New York. All right, there's one. New York.
Okay, that's one.
Titans, Bears, Cardinals.
4.
And I think revenge is nice. So Atlanta, they beat Atlanta and they beat Kirk Cousins in Minnesota.
5.
And I think maybe they beat the Colts, so that's 6.
6.
I think that's it. That's all I got as the ceiling. I think 6 wins is their ceiling.
All right, like I said,
you got to find 2 more somewhere. So
okay, all right, I got you. So like the Giants, I agree with you on that one. They're not beating San Fran. They're not beating Houston. They won't beat Green Bay in Green Bay. You got the Jets. They won't beat the Jets.
You don't think Sam Darnold gets his revenge game against his former team? If he's even still a starting quarterback at that point.
I'm gonna have them split with Detroit. Sounds crazy, I know. They beat Detroit at home. They lose to the Rams. Maybe beat the Colts. Maybe beat Jackson. They could legit win the next 3 games after the Rams. Colts, Jags, Titans. They could legit win those 3 in a row. They lose to the Bears. They beat Arizona. I think they lose to Atlanta. I think the Bears sweep them. That's just me. And Seattle, I think that 8th game might be Seattle.
I mean, yeah. We don't know exactly what Seattle's going to look like this season. Swinging to the other side, let's talk about the floor. I think the floor
be a lot easier.
I think the floor is probably still beating the Giants, and I think they still beat Arizona. I think that's all I got. Like I don't think they could win a lot of other. They could beat the Titans. I think they could go to Tennessee and beat the Titans. I'll go 3 wins as their floor, but I just don't like this revamped offensive line, this revamped defensive line. I just think it's going to be trouble for Minnesota. And if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, it might be one of those seasons where it's just kind of like, yeah, we're going to kind of sink this year. Like we're going to have to just chalk it up to this is a rebuild. This is one season in probably a multi-year rebuilding effort with hopefully Justin Jefferson is willing to stick it out through the whole process.
Yeah. Well, first, like your saving grace is you got Jealous for the next. I don't know.
5 seasons, I think, because he signed a 4-year extension, and I think he was under contract for 2 more after, or 1 more after that. I think because you something like that.
Yeah, that's your saving grace. Like you got him, so I don't think he's gonna go anywhere. Yeah, your floor, man, your floor is gonna be the floor. It's gonna be where we might be talking about you guys, New England, and Minnesota, New England. Uh, I'm trying to think.
So yeah, Justin Jefferson's under contract till 2028. He doesn't become an unrestricted free agent until 2029.
Like,
So
yeah, it's like I think Minnesota and New England might be the 2 teams vying for that number 1 and number 2, and the Giants. I'm gonna throw the Giants in that too. So like those 3 teams might be 1, 2, 3 in some way, shape, or form come 2025.
but I also think there could be like a crazy narrative where like the Minnesota Vikings kind of hit lightning in a bottle here, and maybe they do. Maybe they shock some people. I'm not going to predict that because I don't really think that's going to be the way it's going to go. But I mean, anytime you have a talent like a Justin Jefferson on your team, it gives you at least a shot. So I guess maybe we'll be proved wrong by this Minnesota Vikings team when it's all said and done.
Yeah,
But I guess we will find out. We will for sure find out. But yeah, this has been our Minnesota Vikings season preview. Thank you very much for joining us here at Prime Sports World.
Just to throw it, do you know how much has to go right for them to?
I know. Yes, we know. But like Sam Darnold has to like go back to like USC. Sam
Darnold, like and they didn't win a lot there, bro. Like
it's true. It's true.
Like, bro.
But yeah, this has been our Minnesota Vikings season preview. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We're going to be swinging into Green Bay. Waiting to hear from Izzy what day he wants to run that show because he's our resident Green Bay Packers fan. Keep an eye out for all that content. You don't want to miss anything. I'm David Huffman. Right there is my coach, Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, kind sir.
Yes, sir. We'll be back here later. So at some point this week. We'll keep an eye out for the content. We'll be putting it out there. I'll see you guys all later. Peace out.
See you, man.